you for having me.
Kadie is the Commissioner and Chief Administrative Officer of the Pay Equity Commission of Ontario, a government entity that has been really focused on economic development strategies to lift up marginalized communities. Welcome, Kadie.
Thank you.
Well, I agree that there is definitely a gender wage gap. I mean, that is undeniable. As you said, it's 82, 81 cents on the dollar, 83, depending on how you measure it, that women get paid for men. And that is after years of progress in the last couple of decades. This convergence has stalled. But, I know we're not going to debate the data, but I think it's important to take a hard look at the data because as an economist, I feel like when you come up with a policy prescription, you have to be very precise in the exact nature of the problem that you're addressing and make sure that you're addressing the underlying problem. And if this difference is all due to discrimination, then there's more need for policy. But if it's due to, say, various choices or just sort of actual market signals, then it actually can be counterproductive. So what is driving this? Now, as Kadie pointed out, some of it is the choices or, say, social norms that drive women into certain careers. Social workers get paid less than engineers. That is, for a lot of reasons, but, that is the market wage of social workers versus engineers. That drives some of it. But let's be honest, even when we control for occupation, there's still gender wage gaps. Some of it is hours worked. Women do work fewer hours, largely because of childcare. For instance, OBGYNs. Now, here's a job where you would think women would have a huge advantage. Women prefer women doctors. But even male OBGYNs get paid more than females. Why? Because they are more likely to get up in the middle of the night and deliver a baby. And that makes a big difference on your wages, is that ability and desire to work a lot of hours. And even then, even when you account for different hours, you still have a bit of a gap. I mean, we're now less than 10%, but that's not nothing. And, it's not fair. So let's look even a little deeper. So then what we also see is the gender wage gap narrowing to almost nothing earlier in your career, and it widens throughout the course of your career, which is motherhood penalty that Kadie just mentioned. Once women have children, their wages do fall relative to men. And that's more so, oddly, with the more education you have. Educated women tend to end up with a bigger penalty. And, Claudia Golden, who just won the Nobel Prize, her work finds that that's because certain jobs really, she calls them greedy, want you to be there at their beck and call.
I mean, first, this idea that the choices are being captured, and two, this idea that actually policy can disincentivize.
So a couple of things. One, I think to, make an argument that women prioritize work-life balance or family life priorities oversimplifies a really complex issue and kind of ignores the fact that there's a lack of infrastructure or support to support her otherwise. And this goes back to the sort of the sort of crafting of gender norms and gender roles, or traditional gender norms and gender roles that we talk about. And we even use this word traditional because that gives a sense of it's not valuable anymore in today's labor market. We have to rethink the structures and infrastructure that women need to actually participate in the labor market to the level they do. Because there's equally compelling research that shows that women, when they have access to childcare, be it highly subsidized or universal, they're participating in greater numbers.